standing camp out, camp counselor kind of thing about zines. I'm like, why not? You know, fly me up there, I can do that. And it's working with two different groups too. So I'm working with like a 14 to 19 and a 19 to 24, something like that. So it's also like, I've worked at the Rockland Camp for Girls. You're teaching with, 3-hour-long class of zines, and you're dealing with kids ages 8 to, 19, and you're like, each person learns differently. They have to figure out how to find different ways to talk to different people.
Let's go back around the room and talk about like how long you've been into zines. Is it something that's pretty new to you, or have you been doing it for a long time?
I'll start. I have been doing zines for about 12 years. No. 13 years. 13 years since I read an issue of Comic Bus that some girl had in their room, and I was like, hey, what's that? And then I decided, hey, I'm going to do that. And I did.
I'd like to hear from other people also, like, what's your first zine?
Mine was Comic Bus. Yeah.
I was going to let her go.
Well, whatever.
Okay. About 15 years, I guess. And the very first zine, I would pick up these poetry things in Salt Lake by this guy who's in a band, and so there's new lyrics and stuff in them. And I picked those up when I was like 14. And when I was 15, I remember the first zine I really got into is I had a boyfriend whose dad was a moderator on the AOL forums in like the early 90s. And he collected zines. And so he gave us these zines, and one was called Shelf Life, and that was one of the first ones I ever read. And I volunteer at the Independent Publishing Resource Center in Portland, and they have a zine library, and I looked in the zine library, and that very first thing I ever read was there, which was really interesting, and it still holds up.
It's funny that you said the AOL moderator, because when I first got into zines, I used to hang out, and there was an AOL Riot Girl chat room, and that is how I met a lot of zine kids, girls. And after Comic Bus, I pretty much strictly read zines by girls who were Riot Girls. And at that time, I thought that's all there was Comic Bus.
Yeah, it's very interesting how your perspective of the community is based on what you can get your hands on.
What were the early Riot Girls?
Oh my God. I can't even remember. What was Erica's first zine?
Power Candy?
Yeah, so something candy.
Power Candy. I guess it was like all